Hello, beautiful people. Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Live, gbhbl.com for short. The state of things, episode 12. Episode 12. Sounds so few, but then that's like 3 months worth of doing this already. And as always, I'm going to start this video off by saying it has to be a short one. It has to be, because I'm limited on time. As always, actually I need to be somewhere today. As of the time of recording, it is Friday, March 28th. February, lost a month there. March 28th. And Forlorn are playing the Black Art tonight, but they're doing a kind of pre-gig ritual thing at 4 o'clock that I want to go to as well. So it's currently, time-wise, 1:15. And I'm looking at trying to be out the door by 2:30. So I've got to keep this tight so I can do a few more bits before I go. And then head out and have a, hopefully, fun evening of folk horror metal amongst Swarmed and Healing Wound, which are the support bands. That's the Black Art tonight. So really looking forward to that. Of course, by the time you watch this, the gig will have already happened. Hopefully you're at your own one and enjoying whatever your Saturday involves. Certainly not watching this. Yeah, it's been a week. Oh, it's been a busy one. It really has. It started off okay, and I felt like I was in control for most of the week. And even though I had a lot of interviews booked in because I've been off work and I wasn't doing much in the week. I had stuff obviously last weekend and I have stuff this weekend. But in the week it felt like mostly I was free. Good opportunity to catch up with some videos with other members of the GBHBL family, the literal family, and get more stuff done. But then the week just started to kind of get away from me. Now sometimes I forget this, right? Interviews are a complex bunch for me in the sense that for the most part, I'm really well organised with them, and often when things fall apart, it's very rarely my fault. That's the truth of the matter. It's very rarely my fault. I'm either stood up, the band forget, the PR miscommunicates, whatever. Something happens, but it's very rarely me. But obviously, that is I'm always understanding. Particularly when things are cancelled last minute, or and I just haven't been told because of whatever. Life comes at you fast and hard. It's no big deal, and I can live with it. But sometimes it can be a little frustrating when I don't really get a reason. I think if I've been stood up or my time's been wasted effectively, I think it does no harm to at least say, look, sorry about that. This is why. At least I can go, oh, that's cool, I understand. But where it's just kind of ignored and my time's been forgotten about, it's just a little bit rankles me just a little bit. Not enough to make a big deal out of it, of course, but it's just the sort of general lack of, my time isn't important, right? And what I mean by that is because, of course, you're like, well, how long do I wait? Just dropped my tea bag. This is what I'm drinking, by the way. I've gone fancy. Peppermint and licorice. It's quite nice, smooth. Yeah. So basically, I will wait 15 minutes. I will wait 15 minutes in total for a band to show up. I think that's a fair time. Maybe it's too much. Some people might say too much. Some people may say 10 minutes. Others say I should wait a bit longer. Obviously, depending upon how close my next interview is as well, that definitely comes into play. But 15 minutes to me is more than enough grace period for someone who's running late or having connection issues to get hold of me in that 15 minutes or whatever it is. But 15 minutes is the max I will wait before I cancel the meeting, close it down. And very rarely, even if I get an email, whoever I need to email about it, be it a band, PR, label, whatever. But if I get running late, be there in 15 minutes, depending upon interviews, I will either jump back on, but very rarely do I do that. I tend to kind of be like, no, we'll rebook it, that kind of thing. And you can say, well, okay, that's just 15 minutes of your time wasted, and you would have been doing the interview anyway. Well, yeah, it's 15 minutes wasted, but I don't have an interview to show for it, so I have no content to put up. But in addition to that, it's more than that, isn't it? It's more than that. It's preparation. In particular, those interviews that aren't, because you'll be like, oh, well, then we schedule. So your preparation, your questions, and the information you have can be used in future. Not necessarily, or at least elements of it can't be. Depending upon what the situation is, sometimes I've had to throw away entire conversation pieces because they're based around a specific thing that was timed around a specific interview, say a tour. And if I'm like, okay, well, they're out on tour next week, so, your next questions, next book, we'll try and book in a month's time. So, well, okay, I've got to completely change all those questions again. So the time it took me to do all of that sort of stuff, that I don't get that back, and all this stuff, right? So it's been a bit of a messy week in regards to some interviews basically just not happening when they should have. In some cases, being no-showed on. In some cases, getting a last minute sort of like, oh, this isn't happening for whatever reason. Some have happened, many have happened, in fact, actually. But it started to kind of pile up around me where I was like, right, you've got these interviews and you need to do stuff with this content. And then alongside that, I'm trying to do a ton of other stuff too. And then I've got live music as well. I did Bloodywood last night at the Forum, which was a great show, by the way. One of my favourite of the year. Packed Forum. Last time I saw they sold at the Electric Ballroom. This time they sold at the Forum. They're going up and up and up. It'll be very interesting to see what comes next for them. And obviously what I'm doing tonight as of the time of recording. So it's just kind of got busier and busier as the week's gone on, to the point where yesterday I felt like I had no time. But on the interview point as well, is for the first time in a long time, I made several mistakes this week. Only one that really turned out bad's the wrong word because it's no big deal in the grand scheme of things. But basically, I missed an interview at the start of the week because I put it into Zoom for 1 hour later, basically. And I was in the middle of interviewing when sort of notification popped up that someone had joined a meeting. And I was thinking, wait, that's in an hour's time. So obviously I couldn't join it, but afterwards I went to check and see what I'd done wrong, and then I realised what I'd done wrong, and I, apologise, of course. I'm always so embarrassed when this happens. Like, it's rare for me. I'm normally really good at my times and stuff like that, but I just put it in put it an hour later by mistake. I think I was doing a CED time rather than the GMT time that we're currently on. So that was the mistake. I didn't do the time zone difference, but I was so embarrassed about it. And then at the end of the week, so this would have been yesterday, I just finished up wrapping a ton of videos with Damon, and I had like 10 minutes, I had an hour and 10 minutes, I thought, to an interview. And then 5 minutes before an hour and 10 minutes, and then 5 minutes into that hour and 10, so at an hour and 5 minutes, the person joined the interview. Now that's not that unusual, because sometimes bands and artists might just be checking to sort of see the links working, to make sure they don't have any issues. It's happened before. But this felt weirdly coincidental timing, the rough kind of time it was for. So I quickly scrabbled around to check that what was going on here, if I'd got the times wrong, and it turned out I'd done the exact same thing. I'd got the CET and the GMT times wrong again. Now, thankfully, I was able to just jump on and do that interview, and it was a good interview as well. But I finished that and I thought, dude, what's going on this week? You are all over the place. What is going on? And weirdly, later on the time recording, an interview that I was supposed to have also then fell apart because the band couldn't do it in the end at the last bloody minute. So, it's been a right old mess of a week. And it's just all of this compounded by the fact that I feel like I've not really stopped. Left me feeling frazzled. By the time I was leaving for Bloodywood yesterday. It was good to leave, actually, because it kind of forced me to be like, right, well, nothing else can go on here. You've just got to go to Bloodywood. Go watch Bloodywood and enjoy that. That was it. Really, really great sometimes for things like that. But it got me kind of thinking and laughing a little bit, particularly at the start of the week. So at the start of the week, I kind of got caught up, like everybody did, on social media with that man. The viral video of his grind morning routine. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. Face and ice bucket bowls, banana peel skin on his face, sitting outside on a balcony for half an hour doing fuck all, writing in his diary. We gotta go to 10,000. All that guy. I was fascinated by this, but I was fascinated by it. Well, for many of you, right, to begin with stuff like this, right, it's not like I was new to this sort of stuff, or I've seen it all before and I tend to just skip past it because I find it all quite irritating. That, alongside those videos where, random person stopped on the street and asked a really inappropriate or personal question and decided to spill all the beans. I hate stuff like that. I totally skip past it. But this one caught my attention because I couldn't make sense of it. I, like many of you, was baffled. Not really by what the man was doing, but more the fact that, what the fucking point of it was. What on earth was the point of all of this? And I know, and I hear it all the time, the grind, the hustle, all that nonsense. I have no idea what the hell that means. It's just effectively a way of saying work hard and it will pay off. But what I never understand about these videos and stuff like that I come across with is it never really kind of explains or expresses what that means. What do you mean? Work hard in what regards? what are you doing? Are you trading stocks? Is it this kind of thing? I don't know. I have no idea. But it seems the goal for this type of person is to be super successful, have all the money, have all the, girls, boys, whatever you're into, and bit fast cars and all of that. And like, I don't get it. Like, how many people actually are that successful, truthfully? And I'm not talking about like scratching out a good living that means you can live comfortably. I'm talking about the millionaires and stuff like that, which make up a very small percentage of the world anyway. And so when I see these things, I don't really understand what they mean. Like, basically, what the fuck is the grind is what I'm trying to sort of express here. What does that even mean? And what was making me laugh is because, is that not what I've been doing this week? Is that not what a lot of us do? Like, week by week, if you've got a full-time job and you've got something like, you do also outside your full-time job like this, like, is this not grinding? Is it not just a term for living and making ends meet and supporting those around you and yourself and all of that? What's the bloody difference? But it's the embracing of this grind that I struggle the most with. And this is obviously my mentality kind of thing. But the fact that there seems to be a pride in this, that, I woke up at 4 a.m. and from 4 a.m. until 8 o'clock that night or 10 o'clock that night, I'm grinding away. I'm in the gym and pumping iron. I'm on calls all the time and all this kind of thing. And I'm always locked in. And all these terms I see that are absolutely awful. Why the hell would you want that? What kind of living is that? For what? To get enough money so what you can live late? Like, I don't get that at all. I do not understand it. Surely the goal should be to do the least amount of fucking work. Now, I guess the argument is, no, work now so you don't have to work later, right? But that never seems to be expressed or explained in these videos, this content, or whatever it is. Often it's just clip things of people bragging. People showing off and bragging without actually any truth behind it. Now, I think I'm pretty good to not be sucking in on trends and or fall for the unreality aspects of social media. But I can still fall into that trap. I do sometimes forget that, these influencers and these people and all that what they're showing in these horribly edited videos. You know the ones I'm talking about? Constantly. All of that shit could be utterly fake. I know this. I've seen the inside of airplanes that you can rent out to make it look like you're a boss and all of that kind of thing. Nonsense like that. But I just don't... What I don't get is I don't see the point. Now, you could argue, well, okay, the point is that you're even talking about, say, that one specific video. You're talking about it went viral, and for a brief moment, that person's famous. How we, as a people, humanity, made a woman whose entire thing was basically, I spit on a dick into a bit of a superstar. But that's still humanity's choice, right? Like, that's still... There was a point to that. There was a purpose. It might have been silly and... but we all know it's 5 minutes of fame, and she did well out of that, and I don't begrudge her or anything like that. But there was a point to that. There was a purpose. It was this specific thing. That's not the grind. What is the grind? What does that even mean? Explain it to me like I'm a toddler. And if you say, it means working hard and becoming successful. No. What does that mean? What do you mean by working hard, being successful? Link the two. Tell me how one goes to this, and and how you get there and what you're trying to do. Is it like, your YouTube channel and stuff like that? Like, again, think about this. Think about the percentages. Remember how few people are truly successful in these regards. All these different things. I grind. I'm grinding, right? I'm doing it, right? Just like bands I cover are grinding away on the circuit and all that kind of thing. But we all accept that it's so rare for anyone really or anything to kind of blow up to such an extent that it can make you so rich that you can never have to do anything ever again. Like, that's what I don't get. Now, of course, there's admiration of certain figures, and I get all that. I'm not getting into the pros and cons of the good stuff or bad stuff about that side of things. We all have people we admire, right? But I definitely, that video at the start of the week really, really left me confounded by, because I obviously have heard, it's not like I haven't heard the terms before, or understand the context. But it's the first time I saw something where I went, I don't get it. How does this work? Like, how does this equal success? Particularly as, you know, expensive watch, rings, and outfits and all that be in that video. Like, isn't that already the success? But, like, to maintain that success, so you're already successful, clearly, because you're getting into a rich car, you're in a penthouse, you have an expensive watch and all of that, but you're still doing all that shit. Like, I'm saying, like, what's the fucking point then? If it never ends, what's the point? What's the point of living? Like, God almighty, what is the point? If that's all it is the grind, grind, grind. I'll go back to what I'm saying, said before. Surely the goal is to do the least amount of work possible, right? Because that's my fucking goal. Like, I mean, actual work. The website, GBHBL, that is not work. It is obviously work in that context, but it's not, say, something I have to do to support myself. It's not going to support me outside of my full-time job and all elements like that. It is just something I do for fun. That if I stop tomorrow, other than, you know, the emotional feeling it would create, it wouldn't damage me, it wouldn't hurt me, it wouldn't cause me any issues. Now, I guess you would say, well, surely the goal should be to be able to do that full time, but I won't be able to. Who can? Has anyone been able to do that outside of, like, the heyday of magazine writing? But even then, you'd have to have been in a good position there, and a lot of it's freelance stuff, and you might have been writing for several different outlets and all of that kind of thing. So no, it's not the goal. The goal is simply, can I do the least amount of work possible and still get paid for it? That's it, I suppose. Is that the point? Is that what the fuck the grind is? I don't know. It's been a weird week. As I said, I worked very, very hard and over-interviewed it in the end to the point where I started to feel exhausted yesterday. And I've still got so much to do. But, you know, I have these moments where I'm just kind of like, oh, God, what do I do? And I need to settle on one specific thing. Now, I'm very good at kind of sorting that out in my head. I don't procrastinate because I've got too much going on. I'll go, what's the next thing that needs to be done? So, like, for example, on Thursday, I normally know I have to do the weekly release roundup. I need to do the 5 albums you need to check out tomorrow video. And sometimes either finalise or start the single slam. I actually did single slam today. It's not a long one, so it wasn't too hard to do. So I just ended up focusing on that and then trying to get those tasks finished. Everything else just kind of has to go by the side until the next thing is done. But yeah, you know, that's that. That's that. Obviously, I said each week I want to tell you about a specific process that we kind of do on the site, something, how we cover it. Maybe you can learn something from it or understand how we do certain things. This is a really short and easy one. It's reaction videos. Or, well, we call them reaction videos because that's like the algorithmic word. But I kind of prefer to call them like single reviews because that's kind of what we do in the end. And then there's a number of different ways people do this stuff. And obviously it's very, very popular. We have tried to keep up with trends in that regard, and nowadays kind of given up on that side of things and decided just to do it our way, which is basically, what songs do you want to listen to? And normally it's a song that one of us has heard that we really like and want to show the other, because obviously it's me and Brendan that do the reaction videos. I'm talking about the music side of things here specifically. Horror is a different thing, and it's certainly not consistent. Trailers and all of that I struggle with because they only ever get copyrighted anyway, and that drives me nuts. But yeah, music side of things, we basically select tracks based on, hey, how many you got? We'll meet up. So basically, we'll meet up. We'll agree. Let's jump on and do some videos normally in the evening, 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night for an hour and a half. Jump on and I'll be like, yeah, I've got 3 or 4 videos. Brendan might have more or less or whatever. And then we'll just go back and forth. I'll do one, you do one. I'll do one, you do one. And the goal really in those is basically, you'll get reactions in the sense that facial reactions, but we try these days as well, not really to talk over the track. We kind of want you to hear it, and we want to hear it as well. We're not stoppers and starters. We don't see the point of doing that kind of thing. That's why we see them more as reviews. We tend to do an introduction, babble a bit, depending upon how lengthy our introduction is. Then we jump to the track. Sometimes there might be an odd comment here and there, particularly if there's a moment. And then at the end, we basically spend normally around 10 minutes, maybe a bit longer, sometimes a little less, just talking about the track, our feelings, our thoughts, back and forth. And it can be very entertaining, very interesting. It's one of my favourite videos to do, which is the latter part of a sort of review, because we learn a lot about each other as well. You know, he's my brother, but we don't see each other all the time. We're certainly not in each other's pockets, and music, we both listen to so much music. This is often an opportunity to share with each other. It's why we used to do reaction battles and things like that. But, you know, we ended up abandoning all of that because the whole reaction thing was getting a little messy. And this was a way to sort of narrow it down, to simplify it, just to basically be a reaction. So yeah, they go into reactions, but I like to see those reviews. But there's nothing complicated about it. The editing process can be a little bit more complex. But when we tend to do we all do the videos in a block. So like it'll be one full Zoom video that's got like 6 videos in it. So once I set up the initial part of the editing, now I use Final Cut. So in Final Cut Pro, I'll have the timeline set up and snipping and cutting and round it, and then like all I have to do is just carry that on for the next one rather than have to redo it all over and over again. Change the covers over. It's a fairly streamlined process. Again, it's one of those things that I've got quite efficient at, so I can do it fairly quick. But yeah, there's nothing really complex about reaction videos. To listen to the music, both of us hearing it, you will notice if you do it, because we're both using Zoom in different parts of the world, of the country, we basically time it. We start a video. Before we start, press record on the actual audio, what you will hear and see, we will set the video up. We'll get through the ads and have it at the beginning. And then before we start the actual press play, I count down. I say 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, we both click our button. We've never really messed it up since either. And even then, if we do, it's only like a second or two out. So we're able to both watch and listen at the same time. And then obviously in the actual video that you watch back, I add the video separately afterwards. This has been the most efficient way I've found to do it. But yeah, it's a pretty simple process. I like them. It's not the strongest part of the channel, I think, which is an area I wish we could be stronger in, but simply time and certainly the relevancy. With singles coming out all the time, it's not so easy, and it's certainly not possible for me and Brendan to always jump on. I have tried doing them solo, but it's harder solo because I don't have someone to bounce off on. I do want to do more, but I do prefer to have someone to bounce back and forward on. So if I'm not just rambling and saying words just because I want to fill the space. You know, not like this show. But who knows, maybe in the future. But that's reaction videos. Nothing complex, but still a lot of fun. What else? What else have I got to talk about? Is that really it? Really looking forward to summer festivals. Getting more and more excited this week because Incineration Fest is now breaking its stuff down into stages and it looks immense. Cannot wait. Likely going to spend most of my day jumping between the Underworld and the Electric Ballroom based off what I've seen so far. There is a band I would like to see in the Roundhouse, but it really is going to be dependent upon stage times. If I can be bothered to go up to the Roundhouse, as if it's miles away. If I can bother to go to the Roundhouse and then come back. On that same front, like the Black Heart has a few. I would like to end the night with Five the Hierophant because that band is immense. And I haven't seen the Dev yet as of the time recording, so I'm really looking forward to that. But basically, the weather's improved and it's warm. And like last night, I was able to walk around. Well, firstly, in the forum, it was warm. But I came out of the forum and it was warm. And I was wearing this top, actually. I'm wearing the same top today. I was wearing this top and it was nice and it was chill in the air, but not so cold. And it was just a lovely spring feeling, and it got me thinking about what's coming up. It got me thinking about Incineration Fest. It got me thinking about what else we got. Damnation. Damnation's in November. Slam Dunk. Quite a big difference there. That's just two of the ones that are coming up soon. Mangata Festival, Bloodstock, obviously, and hopefully many more. Can't wait. I really can't wait. I'm loving just better weather. When I was younger, I thought, oh, I love the winter. Yeah, no, not anymore. Give me summer all day long. Next couple of weeks are going to be an interesting one in my personal life. Obviously, I go back to work next Tuesday for nights. That's work is work. But around that, a significant series of events are going to happen that I'm not going to talk about until we're a little bit further along in what we're doing. But some big things are about to happen, and it's very exciting but very nerve-wracking. It's going to cause a lot of distractions, and I am intrigued and worried to a degree about how I'm going to be able to do everything. Some things are inevitably going to have to fall by the wayside temporarily. I don't think videos or these sort of stuff will have to. I think I can still work around them until it gets to like a crunch period time and specifically. But when it gets to that point, I'll probably reveal it and I'll talk a bit more about it in here once I get to that particular point in time. But as of right now, it's all about to kick off. And it's all looking very exciting, basically. Right, I am going to start wrapping this up because I did say at the end of each video now I was always going to talk about, I've just dropped it, excuse me a second, out of frame. I was going to talk about, a video game soundtrack that I particularly love just sort of as a way to wrap it up and to keep this video focused a bit more. Excuse me, I'm trying to put the damn vinyl back in its box because this is another vinyl record I have. This is one of my prides and joy. And I don't necessarily love the soundtrack in the sense that I could put it on in the car and drive along and listen to it. Certain pieces of music I could from this soundtrack. But it is one of those that I just have a lot of nostalgic love for, and it comes from an artist who I love, which is Grant Kirkhope, whose name hopefully is quite familiar to a lot of you. It is the Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack. Yes, this is a box set, 4 vinyls that features all the music from Banjo and Kazooie. An absolute delight of things where, you know, side A here has like Rare Logo, Spiral Mountain, Gruntilda's Lair. Record 3, side B, we have Mad Monster Mansion and Gruntilda's Lair's Mad Monster Mansion version. Because of course, remember Gruntilda's Lair has like the bears go into the woods tonight. That kind of melody, but done depending upon the area. So Mad Monster Mansion is like the horror one. And that sounds great. I love that particular theme, particularly how it flows. And if you hear it separately as one whole piece, it'll flow from like here's a kind of like kind of wintry one for Freezery Peak. Here's the gothic horror one for Mad Monster Mansion. There's like the sort of underwatery one, or like robotic one for Clankers. The sort of like Egyptian one for, what's the name of that level? Oh, Golby's Valley. And one of my favourite as well is Click Clock Wood. But also that actual level is one of my all-time favourite platformer levels. That's such a clever thing. But yeah, this is an absolute beauty. I love this. Big, solid 4 vinyls in there. One of my favourite, but definitely not one, like I said, I don't get in the car and be like, you know what? I feel like chilling out to a video game soundtrack. Let me put the Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack on. That doesn't happen. But it's still, like, if one comes on in a shuffle, in like a video game playlist shuffle, I rarely skip. But Banjo-Kazooie is one of my sort of nostalgic 3D platformer loves, you know. All 3D platformers in general, I have a lot of love for. It's where a lot of my nostalgic memories live and exist in. But Banjo-Kazooie was obviously such a step above. But that's my Nintendo 64 love about. I'll probably do a video in the future where I have planned it, where I'm just going to talk video game timeline, my timeline of video games, so from the earliest memories to what I do now and all the stops along the way, and through that I can reveal to you some of my favourite games, my favourite console. I can tell you that's the Nintendo 64, but some of my favourite games, the ones that like had a profound effect on me, the ones that maybe I think aren't as good or overrated, and so on and so forth. That's for the future, but for now this is it. I'm going to wrap this up because what we got, nearly 30 minutes. Not too bad considering I didn't have too much to say today. Remember, keep grinding, baby, and you too may be successful one day. You got any thoughts on what I've talked about here? You know what to do. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.